What's up, tribe? So I'm back at the creek with the dog today. Getting some exercise in, getting outdoors, exposing myself to nature. It's very, very important. So if you're new to this channel, my name's Jacob. Apex is all about humans, dogs, and the foods that bonded us, which of course is meat. And what I want to talk about today is something that's been on my mind quite a bit. The past couple years especially, but even before that, like when I was really, really sick, it was really on my mind. And it was a big realization I had actually when I got sick and when I recovered. And that is currency. And I'm not talking about currency as in money, like monetary, made up, monopoly money essentially is what it is today. But I'm talking about the most valuable currency that each and every one of us has. And a lot of people will say that it's time. And for the longest time, I thought that. I thought that time was the most valuable thing. It's the most precious thing we all have. It's very limited. We have a very finite amount of it. And, it makes sense to optimize that and get the most out of your time here that you can possibly get. But after getting sick and being in, very, very bad health, and really pondering my life, whether or not I was going to survive, and dealing with all the things I dealt with, and not knowing for sure how much time I had left, my perspective on that changed drastically, actually. And now I would say that the most valuable currency that we all have is health. And before you argue that, let me explain myself here. So the reason I believe it's health instead of time is because health buys you time. If your health is in disarray, and if you're suffering, if you're chronically ill, if you have bad conditions, whatever it is, if you're just in a really bad state as far as health goes, even if you're overweight or obese, then there's a pretty good chance that your time here is going to be much more limited and much more restricted than if you were healthy. And that's the realization I came to, because when I got sick, I had a really bad heart condition, supraventricular tachycardia. And along with that, I also had horrible heart palpitations. I had abnormal heart rhythm, like 99.9% of the time. And the supraventricular tachycardia was almost constant, along with the palpitations and everything else. And not only did I have all that going on, but something else that was going on with my heart is that my heart was beating extremely hard all the time. It didn't matter what I did. It was like I was running a marathon. My heart was literally beating out of my chest. And, pretty much at any moment, knowing what I know now and what caused that, I could have had a heart attack. I could have had a widowmaker heart attack, and my heart basically would have cramped and seized, and I would have died. And had that continued, I know for a fact that would have happened, because it was absolute torment. I mean, it was horrible. I can't even explain how bad it was. So every second of every day, I thought I was going to have a heart attack and die. Every second. And this went on for about a year. And there's not a whole lot of people around me that knew what was really going on. I did a pretty good job of kind of disguising the fact that I was in so much torment, and my life was just honestly a living hell at that point. But thinking about that every single day, about my life ending, it really makes you think. Like all the stuff I was going to miss out on, and all the things I wanted to accomplish in life that I never got to accomplish, the time I would have spent doing things differently. That kind of stuff right there will keep you up at night. And that might be even more tormenting than the actual heart condition itself, because you're just stuck with all these what ifs. And then, it got so bad that it got to a point where, that's so beautiful. It's one of my favorite parts of the creek. Check this out. love that spot. It's kind of hard to navigate and get over though. But anyway, it got to the point where I was in such a bad state that I kind of wanted to just die, honestly. And it's really hard for me to say that. and for the longest time, I didn't want to admit that fact, but that's where I was at. And I thought about it. I mean, I don't think I would ever consider taking my own life, but I just thought about, you know what, how much easier would it be if I just kind of rolled over and let things take their course, you know, let nature do its thing. And I thought about that a lot once I got to a certain point, because when you're suffering that much, I mean, what is there to life? And that brings me to my main point, is that what is time without health? Because you can have all the time in the world and you can have 1,000 years, but if those 1,000 years are full of torment and suffering and it's just an absolute nightmare, would you rather have those 1,000 years of just having your soul tortured, or would you rather have 100 of the best years that you could possibly have? I know which one I'd choose. After going through that, I know exactly which one I'd choose. So I mean, again, what is time without health? And if you think about it this way, you know, let's say that the average person now lives to be, I think it's like 77 years old, but I think it actually went down. Maybe it's like 75, because in 2024, our average life expectancy has actually went down for the first time in like recent history, which is pretty telling about the current state of our health. But let's say that you live to the ripe age of 75, you know, about the average life expectancy of the typical American. And let's say that chronic illness, most people, you know, according to statistics anyway, will start to develop, you know, a lot of the common chronic illnesses around age 45 to about 64 or so. So let's just say that the last 15 years of that, so starting at age 60, is just riddled with torment, and your life is just a nightmare. And of course, now keep in mind, now most people don't retire until 65. So starting age 60, for the last 15 years of your life, you're suffering with chronic illnesses. And you have 15 years left now, which is time, but you don't have your health. And you know, leading up to that 60-year mark, you spent it working. You didn't get to do the things that you wanted to do. You spent it working for someone else. You spent it trying to build up enough money that you could save to retirement to 65, and then you could go, you know, travel and explore the world. But because you were saving and you were planning your future and all this stuff, you never got to do the things that you wanted to do and live life on your terms. And you always had some chronic conditions going on. Nothing serious, nothing life-threatening, but you were always just in poor health for the most part. So you never got to enjoy your life. Would you rather choose that life, or would you rather choose a life that you lived till 60 years old? After that, there was no guarantee you were going to make it any longer. Maybe you make it 65, maybe you make it 70, but you weren't sure. But those 60 years were spent doing everything that you wanted to do, following your dreams, pursuing your passions, spending time with the people that you love, surrounding yourself with positivity, living life on your terms, traveling, doing all the things that you wanted to do when you retired. You got to do your entire life leading up to 60 years old. That's another good way to look at which one would you choose. Again, I know which one I would choose. But you know, 7-8 years ago, before all this happened, I don't know which one I would have chosen, honestly. But I think getting sick, it really gave me a brand new perspective on things, and it made me really understand where true value lies. And yes, time is important, but if the time you have is not spent doing the things that you love and is not quality time, it's not worth anything. So with that said, what can we do to improve the time that we have? Because we all know that we all have a set amount of time that we're going to be here. Every single one of us. It doesn't matter who you are, where you come from, what you think you can be. A lot of us don't think about it, but our days are numbered. Every single one of us, the clock is ticking down to our last day. And a lot of us live like we are going to live forever. We don't pursue our dreams. We don't pursue our passions. We don't go after the things in life that we want because we just assume, we'll do it tomorrow. We'll put it off, and we got tomorrow. We can try it out. And for some, tomorrow never comes. And for all of us, tomorrow is never guaranteed. And eventually there will be no tomorrow. So if we want to improve the time that we have, knowing that it's limited and we only have so much of it, what are the steps we need to take to do that? And it all starts with health. And there's a lot of things that we can do to improve our health. Diet's a big one. Clean up our diet, focus on real whole foods, not industrial food complex, toxic garbage. Get away from that at all costs. Minimally processed, minimal ingredients. A diet based around meat and bioavailable foods that are nutrient dense. And everything else around that, if you want to add other foods in your diet, I would say just make sure they're whole foods. And that's gonna be enough to get most people there, actually, I would say. And then the next one beyond that is water. Tap water's horrible. PFAs, pharmaceuticals, glyphosate, pesticides, herbicides, all that bad stuff in tap water. Filter it or drink straight water from the earth that's tested and clean. Get rid of toxicity out of your life. That goes for the things that you put on your skin. That goes for cosmetics. The clothes you put on your back. Make sure they're natural fibers. And that also goes for toxicity in your life. As far as the people you surround yourself with. A little monkey over here. Oost. But the people you surround yourself with, the people you put around you, also dictates your health, because if you have toxicity and your mind is in a negative state 24/7 and you're living with that every single day, it's going to have a negative impact on your health. So all these things that we can do, getting outside, exposing ourselves to nature, getting sunlight on our skin, getting cold, being uncomfortable. There are a lot of very basic, fundamental things that we can do to improve our health. And the more we improve our health, again, there's no guarantees, but the better chance we have of having more time. I don't think anybody can argue the fact that if you're healthier, you're probably going to last longer. I mean, I think that's kind of a basic rule in nature, unless something crazy happens, which is possible. But I think your odds definitely get a lot better when you're healthy. Healthy body composition, healthy mind, that's a big one too. And that's a big one as far as time goes, because again, if you have 100 years of being in this horrible mental state and just dreading every single day, maybe you're working a horrible job that you hate and you're surrounded by people you can't stand, that is not a life to live. I wouldn't want 100 years of that. I'd take 50 good years and take the other 50 and bury them, So that's just my perspective. That's just kind of the mindset shift that I've had, the realizations I've come to. And I've started to live my life that way. And I will say, that my life is unequivocally better focused on health and not time, because without health, we really don't have much time, and the time that we do have, it's not really worth living. So let me know in the comments what your take is on this. If you value health, comment the word health below. Let me know why. If you value time and you think time's more valuable, comment the word time and let me know why. But hopefully you got some value out of this. If you did, feel free to like, subscribe, join the Apex tribe. I'll see you in the next one. All right, peace out.